Howdy, howdy, everyone, with another episode of Between Two Wolves here. I'm with Combustible, and we're about to do something that I'm kind of nervous about. What are we doing today, Combustible?
I suggested we play duo Rush of Dissonance, which is relatively mindless and good place for a conversation.
I'm scared that he thinks it's mindless, guys, but here we go.
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes. We've got the key, we got our classes. You ready to head on in, man?
Sure.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So to start, why don't you tell us what you do on this team?
That's a good question. I like to enable other people to contribute to the game, and then kind of by that same token, I like server operations type stuff, technical stuff.
Sure.
I got into Monumenta because of a friend of mine, that Kala, who hasn't played in quite some time, but I joined to learn technical stuff, and because I loved CTM, and then I stuck around for the team and cool stuff to build.
Well said. When did you start?
So I think I was like the 8th person invited here, probably about 6 months before open beta. There was basically just Seer Haven and no dungeons. So
Cool. What were your expectations for the project back then when you started?
my expectation was mostly Kala, who is in real life is a really good friend of mine. We went to high school together. My initial expectation was he was going to try and pull me into doing work, and I didn't want to. So I put off actually giving Monumenta a shot for several months after my initial invite, which is kind of ironic.
Very, in retrospect.
So I don't know if I had any idea what to expect, but it was fun. So
Well,
it was
good.
immediately fun.
We're all glad you decided to make that jump, man.
Yep.
What have you done in the game that players could experience? What can they point to and say, "Oh yeah, Combustible did that"?
Oh man.
Directly appreciate it.
I think perhaps one of the recent things is so my role is kind of odd because I don't tend to make content, although I do on occasion. So I think the most recent thing is I built the player plots system, or player plots version 3 or whatever. But there's kind of just a lot of things. For example, I built almost all of what enables our POIs to respawn. I built all the system that stores player data. I built that lets you transfer between servers. I built the loot box because I wanted a way to play with randoms. I built the initial framework that we use for bosses. I don't know. It's just kind of all over the place. It's been a lot of years.
Yeah, I'll say. How'd you come up with your username?
That is that's a good question. How did I come up with my username? I used to do, in my misguided youth, I used to be enamored with playing with fire. Seriously, to the point
amazing.
of blowing up a bunch of stuff. I've had the fire department called to my house when I was 12 because my mom was gone and we were burning gas because that seemed like a good idea when you were 12. Yeah, I had several bad usernames as a teenager, and Combustible eventually stuck.
At least you were self-aware.
Well, I don't know.
Did
More
someone else give you
retrospect.
Combustible? Oh.
No, it was yeah. And then Jalisio was the jerk or visionary who gave me the busty handle nickname because Combustible doesn't shorten well to anything else.
Yeah.
I was initially
fond of,
salty,
Yeah.
but then it stuck pretty well, and I think it's funny, so I like it.
Agreed. What is the thing that you've helped with on the server? We're into the patron question specifically now. What is the thing you've helped with on the server that you dislike the most? That was your contribution.
So a thing I built that I now wish I could change. So one of the reasons that I like software, and this is kind of an aside, is because you can always make stuff better. So Monumenta is very much embodies this too, right? Like we build stuff, we iterate, and we make things better. Let me see. One thing that I don't like. Yeah, one of the things that I think is funny is that basically all the things that I really don't like, I've fixed. Because and gone back through. I would say like the first iteration of plots was among our most painful things. I have one thing.
Like the one in Searhaven?
The one in Searhaven was cute and like it was a great start, but like the plot tile that expanded was kind of a mess for a very long time because of the requirements of just like lag, and like we kind of got stuck with that design for a long time. But I think I have a better answer, which is the single biggest thing that I wish we had done differently, and we would have done differently is the way we instanced dungeons. Because so at the very beginning we launched with a single server, just Monumenta, right? One Minecraft server. We had no plugins. Classes were command blocks. It lagged to hell. And we realized and then of course, people joined and it lagged us into oblivion when 100 people logged into the server.
How dare they?
So way back then, we rather than take a little bit of time to see how other people handle instancing, I just kind of ran with the first thing that came to mind, which is transferring people between servers. And then we were like, well, how do I instance dungeons? And so the thing we had at the time was literally MC Edit. And so like all of our weekly update process started with me just freaking running MC Edit copy paste to instance the dungeons. And we upgraded from that to the system that we used for almost 4 years, which is basically automated MC Edit that copied the dungeons, which in retrospect caused us to spend literally like I don't even know how many months of productive time messing with that system, where if we had done some more research about how the other people instance stuff, we would have gone to what we have now, Worlds, literally years earlier, and it would have saved, I don't even know, like literally 1,000 hours of developer time easily to have made that decision right at the beginning.
Is that tied to the update stuff that Knick-Knack Us kind of got in with?
Yes. In fact, it's funny because the way he was introduced to me as very early on we were running updates, and I was literally copy pasting MC Edit with MC Edit. And he found this out probably because I was yammering about it. And I'm in a little bit of trouble. No, not too bad. I need to go up the ladder though. He was sending me scripts to try and make MC Edit better, and I was honestly very skeptical at the time. But he persisted and basically wrote what ended up being our first automated like weekly update process.
That's great. I had his interview last night, and he was telling me this exact story.
Yeah, it was really spooky, right? Because it's like, man, I don't know if I want to like invest in this code that ultimately, of course, became one of the more important things that makes it possible to run the server. Yes. It's been a long time, but so that's my maybe one regret is making that decision too hastily.
Well,
And I think nothing recent really comes to mind. There are certainly situations that I would like handled differently. But no, I'm pretty happy with how things are.
Good. That's impressive with as much as you've done. You had to search so hard for the one problem. Well done. What is independent of what you've worked on, what is your favorite thing in Monumenta to play, your least favorite, and what would you change about each if you could?
Favorite thing to play? Well, the thing that we play the most is shifting. That's kind of me and Square. So I play most of easily 80% of my time playing the game is duo with Square, who it kind of makes sense. Yeah, so we're married. We've been it's been 14 years we've been together, and married for almost 10. So we met in college a long freaking time ago. But yeah, so we've always kind of, one of the ways that we've maintained a healthy relationship, right, is playing games together. So we played Complete the Monuments before Monumenta, and there's a big part of why both of us are here on the developer team is because, and we put so many hours in, is because we're each doing that, right? It's like, oh, I gotta log on to do this thing, this building thing. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll poke this other thing that I was doing. And so I would say, Monumenta, like many things, are better with friends, and it's even better with your significant other.
Oh, that's great. And I think it's just wild that anyone who has worked with both of y'all knows that neither of you has nepotistically hired the other.
I think it started that way. I do think, well, right, like I got into this because of Kala, and okay. I mean, she was along for the ride, right? But it's like, I like this place. Like, how can we make it better? And then just we're similar personalities for many things, but driven to get better and make things, and then ship them. So, okay, so you asked me a question, which is favorite piece of content. So
shifting.
I like shifting. Shifting is like kind of a novel experience. I actually really like the process of how do you explore shifting in an efficient way. I mean, we have a very well-defined system. We've run shifting, I don't know, 40 times.
Nice. You want to tell us about that system? That might be really helpful to the...
Which is, yeah, so the system is every time you find a door, you go into it, and you place a block on the roof that it says, I went into this door. And then every time you dead end and you walk back out of a door, you place a block in the floor under it. And so what this does is it helps you fully explore the dungeon, because every time you basically do depth first search, you find the farthest rooms away, and then you work your way back to the middle. And then every time you work back to a hub room, you explore that room, do all the doors on it, and then before you backtrack further. And something about like just that simple system is fun. Mm-hmm. And then shifting also, I fundamentally like a little bit of grind in a game, and so like the vault system I really like, yeah. Right? Like trying, maybe this will be the one that you get a vault. I like the mini games, although if I was to change one thing about it, I would make the freaking mini game rooms not impossibly hard timing wise. We've still never completed the parkour room a single time, and never completed the archery challenge. We're always like one. It's like, so I'm still a little salty about that. Yeah, but not so salty that I would change it without approval, because I don't know. So I like those mini games quite a bit. I also don't understand how you are down. As soon as I usually get to wave 30-ish. I stop being able to live on the ground floor.
Oh, it's interesting. Well, my whole build is around putting all my abilities on cooldown and then taking that damage resistance, which also buffs you.
Okay, that works. So, that explains why I'm doing better than I expect.
I'll be a little more conservative, though, because I don't want to end the interview prematurely. So
I always...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your least favorite thing to play?
I struggle with, I would probably say Forum. I like the builds of Forum are beautiful. I like the mobs, but I find it just too long, which makes it hard. And then the kind of cap at the end is the two longest of bosses. I really don't like Forum's boss. I find it very tedious. He's very polarizing, which I think is good game design, right? People love him, people hate him. I'm in the hate category, but I think that's good, because he is well liked by some people.
Good. Don't know if I've met any. And so, what would you change about? You said what you change about shifting. What would you change about Forum?
What would I change about Forum? Mostly the boss. I just think the boss takes too long. Especially solo or duo, which is how I tend to play. So, shortening the number of times that you have to do the same thing. I mean, I think we shortened it from 5 to 4 portals,
yeah.
which is an improvement, but it's not enough. Okay, I blocked the stairs on one of the sides.
Okay.
Just FYI.
If you haven't been watching the interviews, you might not have known this question is coming. Who's your favorite other team member?
That's the easiest question you could ask me.
You get the easy one for you. Yeah.
I get the easy one. Okay, it would be Squir, obviously, but so the fun question is, right? Like, if not, who would be the other favorite? Let me think about that for a second. Yeah, so I think my favorite other team member is probably Chip. And I think he might be surprised by this, but the reason being that it is very hard to get large projects moving. And there's something kind of captivating about having the boldness to just be like, I know this is going to be hard, but screw it, let's do something cool.
He's very much that. That's
Chip. Chip has done a very good job at many points in the game of getting something off the ground, and like sometimes burying us in a mountain of debt later. Like R2 is still way the heck too big. It's just too big, right? And I blame Chip for almost all of that. But at the same time, right? Like that willingness to be like, yeah, it's big, and like let's just go and do it and try something new, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I think one of the traps of Monumenta is so much of the content has been honed to perfection over the years that it's really hard to make new stuff because you're like, oh, how's it going to compare to, like
depths.
Like when you build a dungeon, it's like, I want it to be the best dungeon. It's like, man, 10 or 12 other people have said, I'm going to build the best dungeon. It's pretty hard to build the best dungeon at this point. And I respect especially people that are willing to be like, I'm just going to build a good dungeon, right? Something that I want to play.
Love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. Do you have any thoughts about new upcoming... Well, actually, I think today, 1.19... Are you kidding me? I hate the creepers so much. Yeah.
I have died to the creepers a lot. Okay, I'm gonna explode too.
Man, okay. We're gonna restart.
Yeah, I have like a max armor build.
Nice, very nice. I'm compromising a little bit for magic damage. So 1.19 I think came out today, so it's not so much a question of upcoming updates as what do you think about what's coming out in Minecraft?
In Minecraft?
Or yes.
Oh, I don't even know that I know. I mean, so it's funny because at this point I read the changelogs for like what is going to break in Monumenta when we have to upgrade. For example, like 1.19 I think has like some like world chunk formats data storage changes, like 1.18 does too. And that's the kind of crap that makes it take forever for us to update because the tools like World Edit take a long time to update, and we have to update all of our automation stuff. So I don't know. I kind of have some faith in Mojang. Like they've done a really good job of resisting adding stupid stuff for a lot of years. And so I'm glad there's going to be new blocks, but otherwise I just don't really care about new Minecraft.
That's generally been the answer for most of the devs, aside from new blocks.
Yeah, cool. New blocks are nice because it gets people excited, but
it is a block game at heart.
Yeah, block game.
Do you have a caffeine addiction?
I do not. I don't drink coffee or tea. I would love to. It's just gross. I seriously, I have like a handful of caffeine pills, but I take them very rarely, just mostly when it's like I need to be awake and I did not get enough sleep. Less than once a week. So no, I'm not a caffeine person.
Well, that's good healthy living.
I don't know if that's true. I honestly think caffeine is magic. It's just like I feel gross taking caffeine in pill format. Mostly.
What is something you regret regarding Monumenta? It could be something that happened that you wish didn't, or something that you've never been able to do that you wish you could have. You kind of addressed this, but with the instancing.
I could add two things. I think the thing I regret every time is a thing that's out of my control, which is when interpersonal conflicts can't be resolved and they result in people leaving. So if you have ever spent much time talking to me, I'm always willing to jump in basically any conflict and kind of understand both sides. Like even people that we've banned from the server forever, like I tend to have pretty good rapport even with people that we've had to punish.
Sure.
And it kills me when I feel like I can understand that person, but that person, I can't get them to understand others, or others on the team don't understand them, and that leads to irreconcilable conflict. So that would be like my biggest like regret type thing. The thing that bothers me the most is when we can't freaking figure it out.
Yeah. Your line that you've used several times over the years that always sticks with me when you use it is just remember they're not evil, which is very useful, and I applaud you for using that.
That's funny. It wasn't even something that I was aware that
I've seen that pop up, and whenever you say it, you're like, yeah, we were kind of treating them like a witch hunt. Well done. Good job.
Empathy is important. Yeah.
Yeah, amen.
It's the most important life skill, empathy. If you're watching this. Anyway.
Oh, this is a good one. Was there ever
you're like an old man.
No, this is
boomerism is real.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Shoot, I missed the cutoff, but yeah, we are. It's weird.
I don't even. Yeah, I don't know when was the cutoff.
It changes from year to year. It used to be like 65, and now it's anyone more than 21.
Right.
Seems like
I am 30-ish.
Same.
So.
I feel you.
Yep.
Was there ever a time that you felt like giving up on, if not Monumenta as a whole, a significant part of Monumenta?
I still do struggle with the the commitment required to, especially as server operations. Like I don't feel like I can easily step away. Right? Like and part of this is my fault. Like I've built a lot of stuff that is bespoke, right? Specialized enough that it's hard for other people to work on. But like that's part of the fun for me. Like it's really like it's kind of a little bit soul-sucking to build something that's just like so generic that anybody can mess with it. Like I kind of like the high skill ops environment too, even though that's not great for like it's the nightmare of a company, right? Like have some weird thing that only one person can maintain. But that's kind of what makes Monumenta fun.
Have you seen that XKCD, which is like blocks representing the infrastructure of the internet, and there's just this one critical point that's like this dude in Nebraska in 2003 set up something that he's updated since.
Yeah, and it
makes me think of that.
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing. Like the thing, and I do have, right, and I've thought about stepping down from Monumenta, probably, I don't know, 10 times, and I've talked to people about it at least a couple times. But there's always been something, and one of the things that's cool. Like right now, I've been taking it a little bit easy. I was able to take a nice long vacation. I've been playing a bunch of modded recently. Like, having the patience to like know that like we can step back for a bit and other people will keep working, and then there will be an opportunity to do something cool later, has helped kind of balance that.
Good. I'm glad.
It is a significant commitment of time, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll skip ahead to the personal stuff. You want to tell us about your vacation?
Yeah, sure. I am the type that really enjoys road tripping. So we spent a couple weeks. I live in Oregon, so we road tripped down to Utah. Did a bunch of hiking. We tend to do like camp 2 nights in a row and then hang out in a hotel. Just lightweight. I don't know. I like to hike. I like to rock climb. So Utah is kind of like a little bit of a paradise in terms of cool stuff to play around on, canyons to scramble through, rocks to climb, hikes and viewpoints to see.
Awesome. Do you like seek out national parks or just anywhere?
Yeah.
Cool.
In fact, I think we've been to every national park on the western half of the U.S.
Nice.
Maybe missing a couple.
Or favorite few, because I know that might be hard.
Favorite few. Everybody should go see Yellowstone once in their life. Yellowstone is like nothing anywhere else. I think. What's an out of the way place that I think is cool? I would also say. So I grew up in New Mexico. I think it would also be worth seeing Carlsbad Caverns, which is an out of the way park that it's probably not one of the best, but it's one of the most awe-inspiring. Like multiple football fields in a cave is kind of hard to wrap your head around what that even is like. So yeah, Yellowstone though is seriously an amazing place.
Awesome. When you first started, when Kala invited you on, did you feel pressured to be perfect?
Oh, of course. Well, it's interesting, right? Because I had no skills. I couldn't build. I remember Kala asked me, like, do you know how to copy paste something? And I was like, oh yeah, there's pick block, right? And he's like, no. like world edit's a thing, and it like blew my mind. It's like, what? You can copy stuff? And so like a lot of the tools took a long time. Like I'd never opened a command block. And so I remember the very first technical problem I wanted to solve is we had exactly one dungeon lobby, and it was magenta. And I wanted to try and figure out how to make it so we could have other dungeon lobbies. And I wanted to make it so we could do that without having to recreate the mechanism every one, right? We were going to have 5 dungeons. And I spent like a freaking week of command blocking this stupid thing in 1.12, and it was in retrospect it was just a disgusting mess, but I got it to work, and it was the initial like dungeon lobby mechanism, and I was really proud of that, especially because Helicio built like the first rev, and so I was like afraid of touching Helicio's cool mechanism without having something that was actually better. And then it turns out Helicio's like, cool, I don't even care, I'm glad it works. Helicio's a very practical guy.
So chill, yeah.
Yeah, not the perfectionist that I was afraid he might be. He was a good guy to work with. I do miss his presence around here.
Did FAW exist back then, or were you just not aware of it?
It did not exist. So in fact, we used World Edit, not FAWE. I have no idea. We got a lot of TNT throwers. some of them. So yeah, back in the day, it used to be World Edit, and we were running on a server that somebody else had set up for us. I think it was even Plus, maybe, or it was ridiculous. So we had no backups, and World Edit, if you tried to do anything big, it would crash the server and leave your World Edit thing halfway done, because it was not async. It would not run in the background. It would just crash. And so I remember somebody like accidentally like filled half of the white dungeon, and we had to like pull a backup from like a month ago, and it was just like a big freaking mess. Yeah, I don't know. I've forgotten the question.
A pressure to be perfect, which you kind of addressed with like
yeah. I still think that it's one of the biggest. So again, here's more life advice that nobody asked for. I think the worry that other people won't be happy with your stuff, or that you'll be bothering people with expertise, is the single biggest time waster you can have in a job, or basically any environment, is being worried that you're bothering people, or that your stuff isn't good enough. Like, yeah, it might not be, but like, build it and then ask. Like you spend so much more time trying to get it right yourself and then sometimes it's like the thing that other people care about isn't what you thought. It almost always is that way, and you would be better off just asking. And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of with our Monumenta dev community, is that it doesn't feel like the team is big enough now, like 50 or 60 people, that it could become a corporate nightmare, right? But it hasn't, because people, this like I'm playing a game mindset is like I'm here to have a good time, somehow breaks those walls down a little bit more than if you were, for example, getting paid. And it's so much more productive. I'm trying to figure out how to capture that and bottle it elsewhere, because it's just better.
You could write a book. If you felt about
yeah,
like
right.
Malcolm Gladwell sort of thing. I'm only half kidding. I never thought of it before.
Yes,
but now you're talking about it. Yeah.
One could write a book. I don't know. So one of the things that is a little bit funny about my personal development style is I'm much less motivated by other people than I would say is normal. Like I'm motivated to build something cool that I personally would like to play, or that people specifically like asked me to do. But like some people, for example, would be very proud of like, oh, I built a thing that 10,000 people use, and somehow that's academically interesting. But it doesn't motivate me the same as doing a good job for doing a good job's sake.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna stay off the ground.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I'm gonna block this side stairs, so the creepers don't creep up the stairs, which is always. This is another reason I like ROD, is because it's one of the only places I get to use this fancy snowball. I love the Eldrask snowball. It's my favorite, even though I can't really use it normally because it's kind of garbage.
What about it makes it so desirable?
It's fun to throw snowball at creepers and have them die. Like it's just absurd. In many things, I love absurdity. Okay, yeah, I guess we came back downstairs.
That was kind of on accident. Ignore me. I'm safe.
Okay.
I learned to
well, all the
shield.
creepers are mad at you and not me. So.
Hooray!
Oh, there's one mad at me.
How did you discover the CTM community and subgenre and maps and all that?
Also Kala. He's like, hey, Vex is doing things. Is like, what? But so he is the one that got me into Minecraft in general. Way back in Alpha in college, he was my roommate and is like, hey, Minecraft is fun. And so we spent a bunch of time. Well, mostly then it was just single player because multiplayer didn't work well at all. But building stuff.
Hamachi.
I always like gravitate towards high skill, like difficult environments. And so, I mean, CTM basically embodies the kind of game that I like where you're kind of forced to do something hard and encouraged to always play better, but without that much. Like, there's enough pain when you screw it up to make, to reinforce that you should do better, but not so much as to make you rage quit.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Very first map I ever played was Vex's Sunburned Islands, which is like a terrible map in retrospect, but it was fun at the time.
Sorry, focusing on not dying.
Yeah, there's a lot of mobs over here.
Do you have a favorite CTM map?
There are a lot of good ones. I think I will never forget the moment is that freaking Ragecraft 2 Brown Wool thing where you go into a dungeon, you come back, and you're in. It's like, what happened to my base? Alicio did a very good job with several of his things. The other area that kind of stuck with me was the fear of the dark and fear of falling areas.
Yeah,
fear of heights.
Spiders.
Yeah,
there were 3.
Spiders. Yeah, dark, spiders, and falling. I think it was, or heights, where it was glass. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that was great. Over void. Gosh.
Yeah.
Very nice. Do you keep up with the modern CTM scene at all?
Really, no. I spend a lot more time lately developing Monumenta than playing maps. I haven't played a CTM probably in a couple of years. Played a couple with Kala also. Like, we played Render's like most recent map, or half of it before we got bored. Yeah, I don't know. Monumenta has a thing that others don't, which is that persistent, like, I can get 1% more stuff. Like, it's fun to sit on your dragon's horde of crap. And other games have to be pretty good to be, like, a one and done. Like, there are games like Subnautica. Subnautica is so good that, like, okay, you can play through this, and then when you're done, you're done. But I've always kind of gravitated toward MMOs, where you kind of get to keep your stuff. Right, yeah, I love Terraria. But that's also like kind of a one and done, but like it has a lot of gameplay.
Yeah, there's kind of a post-game to it, of making your world exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah, I have been the type to, what is the chemical spray thing that removes the hollow and the corruption? Yeah. I have done the entire world for a large world. I have one column at a time because of OCD.
Our boss is a psychopath, y'all.
Yeah, I like some suffering, man. I have a willingness to grind for the right reason, and sometimes it doesn't have to be the right reason that anyone else would agree with, but an internally satisfying reason is good enough.
Well said. Do you have a favorite bit of drama that's happened in Monumenta? One that wasn't suffering? I
like the drama that works out. So an example of this is I think the spawner rework is particularly memorable, where we added the spawner reprime mechanism, and everybody absolutely hated the first iteration and the second iteration, and we went to war. Like, Duralius left our community because he was so pissed at how badly we handled it. And then eventually, with enough arguing, we managed to come up with something that is, I think, has made a great addition to the game. And eventually, all those people came back. And that was the kind of thing that was among my favorite. There's been lots of cool redemption arcs where this place has a gravity to it that pulls back people that want to leave, even because it's just so unique and fun in a social way that other stuff doesn't seem to have. and I think it's been cool, right? Like, I don't exactly want to name names, but right, people that were kind of outcast from the community that are now important developers again. I think that's amazing, and I would love, and I'm sure there will be more of that in future times.
Well said. And yeah, not ostracizing people, not treating them as evil goes a long way with that.
I think so. I think I genuinely believe that you should treat everybody with respect, even people who you're punishing, right?
Sure.
And I think that attitude has played a big part in why I have been a lead for Monumenta for a long time. It was not even something I really wanted. Like, Rock left and said, I think you should take it, and I said, I don't want it, right? And it's like, well, but at the time I was the person that kind of the most people respected, and I still like to think that I have the respect of most people, although I don't engage with the new people as much as I should. But yes, so I just fundamentally believe treating people well is a good life choice.
Well said. Man, some of these questions are like almost irreverent after.
I'm sorry. No,
it's great.
I'm good at doing the rambling thing.
No. You're the one being profound, but it's like now we want to know. Hey, you got any cool scars and a story that goes with them?
A cool
Patron
scar.
question.
That's funny.
They can be emotional scars if you really need
emotional scars. Oh, I like this. Let me see if I could think of a little bit more open than most. So I would definitely go with emotional scar thing is interesting and funny, but I'm in one of the rare states where both my parents have already passed away, which is kind of surprising for somebody 30. My dad passed away from a heart attack. Oh god, I'm gonna get creepered. Okay, I lived. And my mom passed away from cancer, both of which are kind of like statistically unlikely to have that happen to both parents. My parents also got divorced when I was kind of like formative in like 8th grade or something, and they were total jerk bags to each other, like irredeemable jerks. So I don't know. I'm not really sure why I ended up with a sense of treating people well, but maybe as part of that. But no, I don't have too many in the way of injuries. I broke both my wrists at different times as a kid, but not bad enough to be particularly memorable.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. What were you doing that broke your wrists?
Oh, I broke one wrist when I was like 2, jumping off a cabinet, like a 2-year-old does. Mm-hmm. And then the second one, I don't know why, but I was so we had a light post in my front yard, just like a normal lamp, but it had a pole that stuck out of it. And, when you're like 6, it seems like a good idea to I want to sit on the pole.
Yep.
Even though it's like 4 feet up. And so I wheeled my bike over to it and climbed up the bike onto the pole and of course fell off. And then I felt so stupid about it that I didn't tell my parents, and I had cracked my wrist until 2 days later. And they're like, what the fuck? Come on. It's obviously broken, but yeah, so it was dumb. But then my favorite, perhaps, example is then at the doctor's office, I have a younger sister who decided it would also be a good idea to jump off something. So she broke her arm at the doctor's office, jumping off a banister. And that's the reason that the doctor's office says, please don't jump off the freaking chairs, because why would you do that? But also because some 4-year-old broke their arm. Yeah, good times.
I'm glad it sounds that way now.
I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Not being injured in such a way. I have been fortunate enough not to be injured in such a way that could not be recovered from 100%.
Good. Thank goodness. What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, here's another aside. I know I'm not really answering the question you asked me, but I was not a good student all the way through high school. I didn't understand why I had to do all the stuff. Like I just fundamentally didn't care about completing every assignment. So my grades were kind of mediocre. And then I met my now wife, Square, who was a perfect attendance 4.0 type student, and that changed my perspective. So I went from being a lazy scumbag in high school to an actually good student.
Sorry.
Somebody blew up again.
Yeah,
my turn to blow up.
I was in a shulker. I didn't realize they had spawned yet. I was in a shulker box sorting through stuff. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right. So you are an engineer, school subject.
Okay.
Perfect
Yes.
Student, all that.
Okay. I don't remember where we left off, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
Sure.
Yeah. So in school, I always liked math and engineering. I actually did electrical engineering in school, which is basically math wrapped around engineering. So my favorite class in high school was physics. I truly loved physics, even though I do basically nothing to do with physics anymore.
Funny how often that frequent that comes up with engineers.
Yes. One of the things that I think is interesting is like developing a sense for like hand waving stuff or like estimating, like getting close enough to an answer or like knowing what you know and then being able to puzzle out what you don't know from like even just like numerical units. I think it's cool. But again,
Absolutely.
Yeah, engineering.
Has I don't know if you're going to be able to tie this one in. Has your physics education influenced anything about Monumenta?
That's an interesting question. I think perhaps not physics, but math. Yes. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like I can remember, like best chest is the thing I'm most annoyed about. Freaking best chest. I guess it still exists, but it used to be. I spent a lot of time on that because to me, it seemed like the math said it wasn't very good, right? And to a lot of people, but then a lot of people made ungodly amounts of money playing best chest, and it never. And I guess that like ability to actually sit down and like rigorously, it's like, okay, I can do the math to figure out what this actually the distribution is. Yeah, simulating stuff. I don't know. Not a very interesting answer.
No, that's good. What is this is going to be a good one for you. What is the most difficult technical problem you've encountered and fixed in Monumenta?
The most difficult technical problem. Kind of the class of problems that is most difficult is often not stuff that we have, but stuff that other people have, like other plugins that we depend on that we need to improve. I think like some of the ones that are hairiest are like memory leak performance problems. So I am of the type to frequently like go through and optimize stuff to run better. I think if I pulled an aside, one of my very favorite things in Minecraft that I have done, the hardest problem I solved, is I don't know if you've ever played a mod pack with Galacticraft in it.
Sorry. No.
It's the mod where you build a rocket ship and there's like you can build a space station and you can visit other planets, and it's mostly just kind of a bad mod, but like the appeal of floating around in a space station is just so cool that like I have to love it. But if you've ever played it, or if you've played it years ago, you may have noticed that if you build a base in your space station, your game will eventually crash. It takes about half an hour, and it's not. And it made me really mad because I wanted to build a base in the space station, and I finally cracked the code open. It took me like a week to get enough set up because it's like one of those mods that only one guy like knows how it works, and he kind of like retired, and so the community is just trying to like band-aid together to keep it going. And I found out that there was like a really obscure like rendering buffer overflow thing where it was reinitializing the display lists every time, which I know doesn't make any sense. But so it was fun and memorable because it was my only pull request to any modded mod, and it was like I found and fixed this.
That's awesome.
This crash
I love
that would only show up if you built a base in the space station, and it's been in the code for like 2 years, and here's the fix, and it was great. So
imagine what that looked like from their perspective.
I know,
this guardian angel just coming out of nowhere, no history.
Right, and so I think that's, I don't know, it's hard to keep track of stuff for Monumenta because we've done and fixed a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's very satisfying to fix things, especially things that you would use.
Well said. What is your most egregious skill issue moment that you can think of in Monumenta?
Oh god, I just freaking miss the jump key when I'm doing jump. It's like I'm gonna jump over this lava pit, and then it's like, no, I'm gonna swim in the lava and die. And I'm still salty at Chris for his that trap in pink with the lava pit because I just couldn't.
At the stairs?
Yeah, but I was prepared. It's like, a lava pit. I can get out of this. And then it's like, wait a second, I can't jump because there's cobwebs at the bottom. And I just like, what? And I just thought to myself, what is going on, until I was dead. So.
Did you lose a lot from that? Was that pre-Graves?
That was pre-Graves.
Oh, man.
And that was actually, it might not be pre-Graves, but I did full wipe, full shatter. I don't remember which one it was.
That's rough.
Yeah, back when it was, right, no limbo system. It was definitely pre-limbo. Yeah, it was good. I love that trap. I wish we had more traps in Monumenta. And I'm excited that maybe some reworks to the way shattering work will enable us to be a little bit more cruel with traps in the future without actually making people rage quit.
Yeah. No spoilers, but that's kind of a hint at something to come, maybe.
Yep. Plans. The hardest systems to change are the ones that have been there forever and affect everything. Graves.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Spawners. All kinds of stuff.
So, since none of us work via employment or money or even really that much repute, because we're still such a small community, what keeps you motivated to do what you do here?
I don't find money motivating in general. I mean, like, it's nice to be able to pay the bills. So, money or not, yeah. But I think the most motivating thing is the community. I truly do love the game. So, like, that's a good part. Like, we have built one of the most fun games that I've ever played. And it continues to evolve, so I think that's cool. But also, there's something very satisfying about people kind of depending on you for stuff. And I think it's one of the ways that we should do more to recruit people, because not a lot of games, or not a lot of things in real life give that kind of, like, feedback loop where it's like, hey, I need your help to do something or to build something. And when it's done, I mean, people continuously find that and appreciate it. And that kind of, like, loop of, I mean, new players joining the game and appreciating a thing you did can really lift your day. And I think that that gift kind of keeps on giving. And then the other is to learn and to do stuff. Like, one of the things I've wanted to do literally since we started this is to have kind of like a way to run arbitrary stuff. Like, people build it and we can host it and make it part of the game. Like the Arena of Turf is a good example of like, this doesn't really quite fit, but like, what the hell? It could be part of the game. And so there's still a lot of technical things that even after 5 years that I still are dreams, and I still want to make them happen. Like having a server in Europe, for example. I think that would be amazing to solve all the technical problems needed to make that a reality.
I know a lot of people would very much love that.
Someday.
Next question's a fun one. And remember, a patron asked this. What do you wish that the player base would just stop doing? It could be legitimately demotivating or just annoying for you.
Yeah, and here's my retort is I've basically stopped reading the player Discord. So the players don't affect me that much anymore because I just don't have time to read. I mean, I used to be the type to read every message, and then I just gave up. And I'm really glad I did. So I don't know that there is anything that's like inexcusable. Like, I appreciate that people have negative feedback. I think I always wish that people would kind of put themselves a little bit more in the perspective of, like, this is my community too, right? Like, when you're dicking around, I mean, literally making, dicks in Searhaven, right? Like, why? I mean, like, you're wasting some moderator's time who is here volunteering also. Like, come on. Like, really? Like, it'd be different if it was a game that we were making money off of, but, like, it just fundamentally seems offensive to waste the dev team's or the community's time with stuff that's not... Okay, if it's a little bit funny, maybe you get a pass. But, like, most of the stuff is not funny. It's just like, oh, I found this cool exploit, and I've been using it to farm to 1,000 levels, and it's like, oh, but it's not an exploit, it's part of the game, right? And it's like, no. So yeah.
Okay, man, you've addressed this like 2 or 3 times in different ways,
Okay.
but I'll still ask it, and you can decide how you want to answer it. Why is this game special to you?
I'll answer it in a different way than I have in the past, which is, I think very few things like what we have done here exist, where there is a community that has pulled together to make something cool. I feel like that increases over time, right? Like, especially, it's kind of a new golden age of community projects and open source stuff. But I still am kind of amazed that we made something with sticking power, that, like, we happen to pick a platform that has worked, right? Like, Minecraft could have been old news, but somehow it isn't. I mean, yeah, sort of, kind of, but not really. And the fact that, like, we have more people that are interested now than we ever have before, like that kind of like steady growth of engagement, and a genuine belief that Monumenta is going to be here in 5 years, is really cool. And I think it won't be here forever, but I think it's something that is certainly worth hanging on to and fighting for, because I don't know how we would recreate what we have here somewhere else, even if we wanted to.
Well said. What has surprised you most about making it?
I didn't come from a game design perspective. I mean, I guess the thing that surprises me most is how easy it is. Right, like everything individually is easy in the environment. Even like some of the most intricate server stuff, if you are motivated to learn, right? If you have that like, I'm gonna figure out how to make this one thing happen. Like, I've seen that a lot of times, right? Like, somebody comes with a cool idea. Like, I want to see, I don't know, like, I like the arena again as an example of like, the heck is this, right? It's like a command block mechanism that was created by people that didn't really know what they were doing. And it's great, and I still, the arena is still one of my favorite things in the game, because that, like, desire to build, yeah. So that's been surprising to me. And also, like, the ecosystem is just so full of people that have figured this out and have made cool stuff. And our community too, so I shouldn't be surprised at people's nature, I guess. Like, that desire to create is very common, but it's still, like, heartening to see how pervasive it is.
Well said.
I keep trying to smack your Vexes. I don't really play with people who are...
It's just a passive. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly what it does off the top of my head. I looked at it and was like, that looks fun and mindless for a rod.
Sweet.
Normally I know my class, but not that. I know they're helpful. They will not hurt. What is your fondest memory playing Monumenta and fondest memory developing it?
Oh, my fondest memory playing is probably playtesting White. Oh man, there was some really good stuff. So one of my, you know that stupid fan?
Oh yeah.
Kala's death fan. But the funniest thing was, so somebody went up the fan, right? Kala's spectating, and somebody went up the fan and then fell down the fan and died, right? Because it didn't used to give you levitation. It just was a fan that flew you up, and if you missed the ledge, you fell down and died. But so what made it funny was not that somebody died, so a bunch of people bitched, and he's like, no, it's fine, guys, let me show you. And so he switched to survival mode, got on the fan, and then Brown mined the platform at the top, so there was no platform for him to land on, and he fell to the ground and died. And we all had a great laugh at his expense. Brown was really a clever dude. He did a couple of, like, witty things that were memorable to watch. Yeah, so I'm glad he left his mark on the game too, even though I never really got to know him well.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
Well, that kind of answers both. That was both playing and developing, unless you have another one.
No, that's
okay.
Yeah, let's go there in the interest of time.
What else do you... Yeah, we're drawing to the end. What are your other hobbies outside of video games and road trips and national parks and climbing, if any?
So I do truly love programming. I work at Intel in software, programming, and now leading a programming team, which I think is great. If you are watching this and you are a computer engineer, you should send me a resume, because we're always hiring people, which is cool. My silly shameless plug, but Intel has nothing to do with Monumenta by design. But I really like building things and solving problems. So for a hobby that's, like, completely unrelated, I really like rock climbing. Rock climbing is a very intimidating hobby until you've been in it, and then you kind of realize that, like, it's very structured. I kind of compare climbing to, like, vertical picnicking. Like, you spend a lot of time hanging out, talking to people, and then something I like about it is that when you're on, like, when it's your turn to climb the thing, you have to focus, and it kind of frees your mind in a way that is hard to get elsewhere. So yeah, truly like rock climbing. I like most of the things it stands for. Freedom, wilderness, outside.
So this is true, like,
community.
Not a rock climbing gym.
No, yeah, climbing with, I mean, like, you start in the gym, like, how do I climb a thing? That seems unintuitive. But also, like, going outside with a rope. I own way more climbing gear than is reasonable. And yeah, it's for me, it's a way and a motivation to get outside and to push myself at something that I mean, you can get better at always, and also that it's hard always, right? No matter how good you get, which I think is cool.
Well said.
Also like skiing, I guess. Skiing's fun. It's as close as you'll get to flying.
Nice. I've never heard that pitch on skiing before. That's cool.
It's a true joy. But it's not challenging the same way climbing is. It's much more dangerous. Also, I think that's kind of funny. Of those two hobbies, skiing and climbing, skiing is way, way more dangerous than climbing is, which I think is unintuitive to people.
Yeah, that's a neat insight. What is your favorite video game and why?
Subnautica.
Wow, that's
yeah.
bold for something. Because you played that, what, like 6 months ago?
No. I've played through Subnautica 3 or 4 times over the last year. There is something about telling a story in the most like nuanced way without beating the player over the head with it. Of like encouraging the player to explore and aligning the game objectives with like the most fun thing the devs could kind of come up with. It's really good. If you haven't played it, no spoilers, but do it without reading anything about it.
Seconding that. It was definitely my game of the year, 2018.
Yeah,
worth it. Any other particular favorites you want to discuss? You know, movie, artist, book, color. Anything else you want to throw out there while we're
favorites? I used to like. I played a lot of Diablo 2 as a kid. A lot. In fact, I got into programming in part. Here's a kind of a funny story, but like, there's a bot for Diablo 2 that actually reads the screen pixel values, like, and moves your mouse. Wow. So like it takes the game, and it had a texture pack that converted, like, Act 5 has some torches. They converted them to green boxes so it could know where it was. It's really cool. But the only time I ever got suspended in school is because I took the bot was written in a language called Autoit, which is the first programming language I ever learned, because I wanted to learn how the bot worked. And I put it on the school's network drive, not thinking anything of it. Like, here's some source code in a compiler. And then the school accused me of hacking and gave me 3 days of suspension and almost kicked me out of my CAD class. I was so upset about it. Yeah, it was really brain dead.
Overreaction.
Classic brain dead school administrator. But yeah, I truly love Diablo. I've played a lot of Diablo 2. So I did actually quite enjoy the Diablo 2 Resurrected launch, even though it was mostly for nostalgia and not because it's a great game. And StarCraft.
Nice.
Played a lot of StarCraft too.
Yeah. Which of the 3 did you play? Civs?
StarCraft, not Civ.
No, I mean in StarCraft. Terran Province Reserve. What was your favorite?
We used to play use map settings, which had a really fantastic community circa 2005. A lot of I have, like, I don't even know, I still have like 3,000 custom maps of like Helm's Deep, right? Somebody made a map where the Zerg, are attacking the Terran held Helm's Deep thing, right? And somebody played on both sides. So I kind of liked that, like, always not true randomly generated maps, but like a story that somebody set up the environment for you to play in, which is not unlike Monumenta.
I was about to say that's kind of a CTM philosophy at its core.
Right, I feel like it's more of a game philosophy, right? Like, there are a lot of games that are just like, here's a randomly generated pile of crap, and it's like, it's sort of balanced, but every game's different because of RNG versus like, here's a experience. I do feel like there's a lot of those. Here's an experience that's fun. Yeah.
Well said. I feel like I'm just retreading ground because you've expanded so much on these. Last two. Tell me something interesting about you that no one would ever think to have asked you in the first place. What's a question that you wish I could have asked you so you could have expanded on it?
Okay, which is, yeah, so I feel like basically all the questions that you asked, I stuffed answers to. So I'm not sure that I'll add there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got quite a good cross-section of
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts on this. Awesome. Any closing thoughts or statements? Anything you want to say to our audience of patrons and players who will watch this eventually?
No, I think this. I mean, the players and the patrons are, and like the team are the community that has made the game. So, I mean, my impulse for everyone is right. Figure out how you want to contribute. Maybe that's being a player who's just a fun to play with in the community and talk to, right? Or moderating or helping people, or there's something that you wish was in the game that nobody seems interested in developing, so you could develop it. The Monumenta's strength is the people that are here making it better. So if you want the game to be better, don't just wait for it to happen. Ask how you can get involved, because we would love to have your help.
Well said. Busty, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and for such a fun, being a good teammate.
Sure. Thank you for organizing these. These are very cool.
Dude, this was a delight. Definitely one of the best ones, if I may say. Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.